Commissioners meeting of March 30, 2021 at 5 p.m. If you please stand at this time, Commissioner White is going to do our invocation and pledge.
Our Heavenly Father, thank you for another beautiful day. Lord, we pray that you give us the wisdom and knowledge to make the best judgments for the residents of Suwannee County. Lord, thank you for the job opportunities today at Vendor Oaks. We had a meet with them today. Appreciate that. Lord, we just ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, item number 1 is approval of renewal of resolution declaring local state of emergency due to COVID-19 dated March 17, 2020. Do I have any questions, comments, or do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Commissioner Fleming,
Second.
second by Commissioner White. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, item number 2, I'm going to have ask Mr. Kerry Waldron to come up and give us a positive COVID update, I hope.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman and gentlemen. Just wanted to come by and give you a quick update on the COVID-19 response efforts and what's taking place in Suwannee County. As of today, there have been 5,213 cases of COVID that started back from March 26th of 2020. So we've been at this for over a year now, and of those cases, 5,197 have recovered. So as of today, I'm proud to say we only have 16 active cases in our community. So to answer your question, Mr. Harris, we're almost there, almost there on not having cases. So that's really encouraging. And I've been tracking the trends, 14-day trends over the past month. In the last 14 days, we've averaged 2 cases per day, which is tremendous from where we had been. And based upon that, effective April the 1st, we'll no longer be issuing a daily press release, but if we have a major outbreak or if we have an increase in cases, we'll be doing a press release and notifying you as well. But I think we're to the point that we can suspend the daily news releases because our cases are averaging 2 a day. Our 14-day average positivity percentage rate is 2.15%, which is the lowest it has been since we began in the pandemic. So those are encouraging signs to us of what we're seeing happen in our community. We do have a large number of folks that are getting vaccinated. The governor has lowered the vaccination age to 40 plus effective yesterday. We were quite busy today. I did tell some of the commissioners early before the meeting, but some folks make appointments and don't keep them, and then we give them an hour to come in so that we're not scrambling at the end of the day to try to fill a slot. So we'll give them an hour, we start calling, and some of them just forgot, or they're like, oh, it's raining today, can I come tomorrow? And we'll look at rescheduling them. But the 40-year-old crowd has not been as responsive as the others. Beginning Monday, April the 5th, we dropped the age to 18 plus. So anybody that's 18 years of age and older can come and get a vaccination. And so we're looking forward to seeing how many folks do show up in that 18 to 39 age bracket. But if you're still at any age, we will vaccinate you. You know, if you're 60, 65, 70, 52, if you're Mr. Harris's age, you can come on. We'll vaccinate you. Because we want as many folks to take the vaccine as possible. In our county, 7,193 people have been vaccinated, and of those, 5,057 have completed the series, so that's a pretty good percentage. I'm real excited that the health department, our team, as you know, Publix, Walgreens, CVS, Walmart's, Winn-Dixie, now Cheek and Scott Drugs are all vaccinating, but through the health department, we have vaccinated 8,212 individuals. Of that, 4,829 were first doses, 3,383 were second doses. And because we're doing the 2-shot regimen, which is Moderna, we will be vaccinating, it looks like if we continue at the rate we're going through the middle of May, because once you get your first dose, 28 days later you get your second dose. And depending on how our numbers look in the middle part of April, we anticipate that we'll be vaccinating up through the middle to latter part of May. We have done a special clinic at Pilgrim's Pride. We did get 300 doses of Johnson & Johnson, which is the single-shot regimen. We worked with the state to bring in a team. They brought in a team, and so far, as of Friday, there's the second vaccination. We'll have vaccinated 300 individuals out there at Pilgrim's Pride, and we're looking at trying to do more. But because Pilgrim's is in our community, we have the vaccine. The state will send us the workers to help, but we have to provide the vaccine. And we had the single dose, which we thought was the most appropriate use for Johnson & Johnson, was to meet those folks out there. And we've opened it up to those folks as well, that they can come to the health department, they can get on the vaccination appointment, and we'll get them scheduled. It's pretty much, if you call today, we can get you in tomorrow or Thursday or Friday, since we have the availability to do that. But we've worked very closely with Pilgrims. As you can recall, this past summer, we had an outbreak there, and we felt like it was important. We began to work with them. They wanted it, and so we tried to offer it to them. And so as of Friday, they should have at least 300 people vaccinated with Johnson & Johnson. We're right now at our 65 and older crowd, which was the first age bracket the governor issued. I'm real happy to say we're right at 49% of that total population being vaccinated in Suwannee County, so that's real strong. And as we continue this week, we'll see the other age brackets increase in the percentage of getting vaccinated. But my curiosity is going to be with that 18-year-old plus crowd to see what they do, and we hope that they'll turn out in larger numbers to want to receive the vaccine, because we still have ample supply. I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Commissioner Fleming.
Now, the 18 to 39, when would you start doing that?
That'll be next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
Yes, sir. They can call and start getting scheduled.
Okay. As you were talking, I was listening, and last year this time when we first started out with the COVID, and Mr. Harris was using the multiplier, and he was saying how those numbers would get up. When he got up to around 1,600, it got scary. We went way past the 1,600, and I'll say, I have to speak for me, since I've had contact with it. I've gotten comfortable. It is unknown. No one knows where it is or know where it come from. It just happened, and but since that time, we have got a lot of things accomplished. We have learned a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
We learned a lot of things, trial by error, or error by trial, however we want to put it. But we have actually got a lot of things accomplished. Even with the shot, when they start talking about the shot, I was saying, like, I ain't taking that. Well, I'm glad to take it. And I'll be glad to get my other shot next week. So I want to say to you, I appreciate you, how you and your team have worked in Suwannee County and here for us, and it helped me to understand some things.
Thank you.
And it's been very possible. Thank you.
Now, this time last year, we were dealing with our first case, which turned into be a hotbed at one of our local long-term care facilities.
Right.
I don't want to go back there anytime soon.
No.
Any other questions for Mr. Waldron?
No, sir.
I got one I'll finish up with. The other places are starting to do them now, give the vaccines. Will the health department have any way of tracking total amount of shots given in Suwannee County? Will you have a way from knowing what they do?
Yes, the number that I just gave you, the 7,193, that is cumulative of all the other places that are vaccinating.
Okay. I was just, as we move forward and you get more places vaccinated.
More people, right. And our number's higher, as I indicated in previous meetings, because we vaccinate. We cannot refuse to vaccinate somebody no matter where they live in the state of Florida. And we do have a lot of folks that like our operation, how we're set up and how we do it, that have come from as far south as West Palm Beach and so forth. So that's how come I'd just like to report on how many people have come through our local county health facility here. But yes, that 7,193 is cumulative of all the Publix, the other pharmacies.
All right.
And on Cheek and Scott, we were able to help them get vaccine because they've not been able to get vaccine, so we were able to transfer 200 doses to them so they could start vaccinating.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Waldron.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your update.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This time, we'll move on to item number 3, approval of change order with Music Construction Incorporated for work associated with County Road 136, I-75 water treatment plant. Mr. Harris, any comments on that?
Just that we need to approve it. This was anticipated when we applied for and got approved for the state revolving fund. They imposed special conditions. Those special conditions we knew would result in a change order with Salzer and Music. This will be covered by the funding associated with that state revolving fund. So I'm just requesting approval on that change order.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments?
No, I think that, what he said it, but he left out one part that might help these guys understand, because it did me, but the state revolving fund requires the Davis-Bacon, that's right, which
And-
was American-made
and
products,
American
which,
Steel.
yep, which turn around these guys making them buy different products than
Yeah.
originally because of the funding source we used.
Any other comments, or do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lamb,
Second.
second by Commissioner Fleming. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4, approval of change order with Saucer Construction LLC for work associated with County Road 136, I-75 sewer collection. Anything, Mr. Harris?
This was not associated with the state revolving fund. This was something that we just decided that we needed to do for safety reasons. We had a boring, it was either a directional drill or a bore under a road, and we were going to have an opening right next to the pavement, and realized it needed to be farther away, so we added some length, and that resulted in a change order. So I'm asking for approval on that.
Thank you, sir. Any comments? Do I have a motion to approve?
Is that just pipe, or is that pipe and labor?
It's the combination, pipe and labor.
Good.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Fleming,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We have one additional agenda item this evening. Authorization to negotiate with highest ranking engineering firm. Mr. Harris.
This is for inspection work out there at the utilities. Primarily, it will be the water plant construction. I was sharing with someone earlier today, I don't remember who it was, I think one of you, that a lot of our grants allow you, or let me say agencies, some of your agencies, if we have grants or outside funding, allow you to do what we historically, everyone was able to do, and that was to use your design engineers to perform the actual inspection work when the construction occurred. Some agencies have changed that. DOT is one of those, and there are some others now, too, that are saying, well, we want a different engineer performing the inspection, which is fine. We have another engineer aside. We currently have 2 engineering firms, but for the purposes of this funding, we went ahead and advertised a request for qualifications for this specific purpose to procure services for inspections. So I'm asking that you authorize us under the RFQ process. It's kind of a cumbersome and an awkward process that the private sector would never entertain, but us being in the public sector, we have to do it this way. They require you to advertise for qualifications. You then have to go through a scoring process and select the highest ranked firm. You then have to negotiate rates with them prior to entering into an agreement. If you cannot agree on rates, then you have to move to the second highest ranked firm and go through the same process. And incidentally, you cannot return back to the first one. But in any event, what you have in front of you is the highest ranked firm is Dewberry, and I'm asking you to authorize us to go ahead and negotiate rates with them for the purposes of these inspections.
Have any questions? Commissioner
I-
Lamb?
Yes, sir, I got a question. I was just curious on what the criteria is on how we rate these. I noticed on the last one that we did, when we rated these, and there was a third one, third firm in here, but the firm that is now rated last was rated second in that previous one. So I'm just curious on how, like, what do we look at when we rate those? Just like, is there a
We actually follow the.
curiosity?
Yeah, typically, I don't serve on that. I usually have 3 or 4 people sit and do that, and we give them the packets, and they take them and read them themselves and evaluate them against the advertised criteria that's included in the specification when we advertise it. So if you look, and I don't have it in front of me, but you can typically follow, there'll be at least 4 or 5 criteria that are listed. Those are the criteria that they will consider when they read through the packets. And sometimes, quite frankly, it will determine on how the packets are prepared by the companies as well. And sometimes that has more to do with it than the people that are actually performing the evaluation. Rather than their objectivity, it might be the way that the things were prepared and whether or not they feel that adequate information was provided for them to answer some of the questions that they need to try to answer themselves.
I was just curious on how we graded these folks, on what criteria and work experience and what the resumes, I mean, it just curiosity, really, on how we got there.
Sometimes I have even taken the RFQs and listed the criteria, and then we'll give them instructions on how we want their responses submitted, and they will track the actual criteria, kind of in the numerical order that we presented them in, so that as they're going through and ranking them, they can read the criteria, and then it'll be in the order in the packet that they've submitted. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Sometimes
really
that
just
isn't the
curious.
case. Yeah.
That tells me nothing. I was just wondering about the process. I mean, it's just 92, 94, 96, 83. Like,
It's an odd
what are we looking
process.
at?
I'm not a big fan of it, and a lot of people aren't. Again, you wouldn't do this in your private business.
No, it seems like a lot of subjectivity.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it's very cumbersome. I mean, but it is what it is.
I understand.
It's a product of the legislature.
I understand.
Any other questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Have a motion by Commissioner Lamb,
Second.
second by Commissioner White. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, I'll open the floor to public comment. Do I have anyone from the public wishing to speak at this time? Please make your way to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Anita Williams. I live at 4242 Don Luis Drive in Los Angeles. I own property in the county. And I had sent some emails that I wanted to, I was rushing to get here, follow up on. One of them was I've been talking to a lot of business owners between here and Tallahassee, and I see that, I wasn't here when you got your CARES Act money, but one, I wanted to know how much the county got for CARES Act and what was the process of distributing those funds. I've asked for under the Freedom of Information Act, if I could find that to help some other people understand that. And then you're going to be getting $8.6 million under the American Rescue Act. And I just would like to know, to be able, because I talked to different people to help them understand how that $8.6 million will be distributed, how it breaks down banks, businesses, how that goes throughout the county. And lastly, if we can, I'm not here all the time, understand what's happening with the Douglas Center, because I go to a lot of meetings and I see at Heritage Park, I think they paid $85,000 for parking or bathrooms, and the county paid $50,000 to that. And I have probably a big issue with the amount of money that gets spent at the Heritage Park, or whatever it's called, based on there not being any destination public centers in that Mr. Fleming's district in our community. So, those are just some issues. We don't have to talk about them today, but that I'd like to have covered his district for public funds. And I mean, I was all for the Douglas Center being torn down because I didn't think it was viable that you could do anything with it. But I also wanted, at some point, some kind of community center other than sports outside that makes that a destination point for this community. And I'm not sure how the COVID funds, you know, there are always some line item issues. You can only spend the money for so X, Y, and Z, but if there's money for those kinds of things, and I know there's other grants, like the startup business grants and things like that that are already over at the city, that we can get some funds in Mr. Fleming's district, which I now own property, so I'll be talking about that district a lot, and some follow-up on the what the mechanism are for the distribution of the 8.6, and also what you got and how it was distributed, looking back under
Yes,
the-
ma'am, you've already asked those questions. I'm going to have Mr. Harris. You have any comments about that? I know we've had some discussion.
Yeah, I'm going to make a brief comment. The plan right now is to ask the board to schedule a workshop to discuss the issues associated with CARES funding, because that's going to be the best forum to have the conversation. There's a lot of material, a tremendous volume of information, and that's going to be the best forum for us to have a conversation about that material and try to cover it thoroughly the way it needs to be covered. And that'll be coming up, the request will come up next Tuesday. I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
She, she's saying she
Should be in
won't,
California.
Well,
Hey,
it certainly should
Yeah.
occur before then.
Yeah.
Well, our discussions are all be online and available for her to,
Yeah, you'll still
see.
be able to. Yeah, it'll be public. I mean, very likely it'll be right here.
she's saying before May 6th, so maybe we can do it sometime middle, end of April. I mean, today's the 30th. I don't
Yeah.
know, whatever you guys
It'll
think.
be on, yeah, I mean, my
I
whole
think the
point is.
discussion will be next Tuesday about the
Commissioners will need
date.
to look
about
at their calendars, and we'll schedule a workshop after, because we have to schedule workshops in a public meeting, so that'll be on next Tuesday's agenda.
But what day that would be, 5th, 6th? 6th?
Well, next Tuesday, I don't know what the date is next Tuesday.
It's-
April 6th.
But it'll be on the agenda for the board to, at that time, schedule a workshop. And then we'll come in here and talk about it. Now, we have a lot of information on the CARES Act, but we don't have a tremendous amount of information on the newest round. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that. I mean, there's some information out there, but I am of the opinion that what could happen with that is something similar to what happened with the CARES Act funding. They came out with some general categories and some very general guidance, and it took them 8 months to refine that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
When I was in Tallahassee, Ms. Williams, we went to the legislative session a couple of weeks ago. And I did speak with a gentleman up there, Mr. Davin Suggs. He's a whole lot familiar with that, and he said there's a lot of details that still got to be worked out, as Mr. Harris was saying about this recovery funding. So there's a lot of details that got to be worked out with that, but I did talk with him again, and he said that his team will be willing to come to Suwannee County and to the individuals that have some concerns that when it comes to the appropriation of the funding, and it's, he says a lot in detail. So I don't know, you may be back to California during that time, but you still can go online and look at it, but It's a difficult process. That's what he was explaining. But it said that it was durable. And they still have some details to work out.
Commissioner Fleming, did you have any comment? I don't want to get in front of you. Do you have any comments you'd like to make about the Douglas Center at this time?
Well, Mr. Harris and I and Greg Scott, we've been having some discussions, and we went over and looked at a couple of buildings.
Yes, sir.
These buildings were kind of in between, and I was talking with Greg today about it. There will be a community center out there. At some point, there's going to be one, and I can't go out on a limb and say that we can take some of these funds and do that, but there is, I've been in contact with, this been a couple years back, and I did talk with Senator Bradley when we was in Tallahassee. I talked with her husband, I think a couple years ago, and me and Commissioner White and Commissioner Land, we was up there, and I brought the issue up about some funding. The county has some funds for that, but it's not enough to actually start the building. But reached out to her, and she said that they would annually do so, see how the budget come along up in Tallahassee. So it's not a dead issue. It's something that we're working on. It's something that we're looking at. Mr. Chairman, I thank you for that, allowing me to say this. It's not a dead issue. It's a project that will happen.
No, I just want to give you the opportunity to say that because I'm in full support of it, and I had heard some conversations that you had done some studying on putting a building there, and we talked about that from day one, and I want to be clear with Ms. Williams. She was here when the motion was made to tear that building down, and I'm the one that made that motion. And at that time, we had a discussion that we intended to put a community center back there. But it's like everything else in the county, it takes money and a lot of it. And every year that we've had discussions, we've set aside money. But obviously, we need a lot more to build something.
Yeah.
But in that time, the gym has continued to receive improvements, painted the whole outside. We've worked on the property there. We've installed fencing through Parks and Rec. I mean, there's a continuous cycle of things going on there. I understand they're not maybe as big as you'd like to see, and it all happened in one day. It's like comparing apples and oranges, though, to Heritage Park, because they've got a group of people that they have many things going on that brings funds there. It's not just a little small portion from the county. So I understand your frustration with that. But trust me, the Douglas Center is not dead by any means.
No.
It's me and Commissioner Fleming, and I believe Commissioner Hale was here with us, and he was in support of it. I mean, we're all in support of seeing something happen there, and that is our goal. Now, I mean, us being able to put a timeline on it, obviously we can't, but it's still close to us, and we want to see it done. I mean, we gave our word to see something happen there, and that's our goal.
Yeah, I think everybody in this room will vouch, will agree that everybody's in support of doing something over at Douglas Center. I'll vouch for Mr. Fleming. I had Senator by one arm twisting it for road money, and he's over there asking for the Douglas Center with the other arm, and I was kicking him under the table saying, hey, aim higher. Aim higher. So I'll vouch for him. He
He's
straight up
fighting.
asked her for some money for the Douglas Center.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure we talk this one to death because I want to comment on something. And Commissioner Fleming is the only one here that maybe can appreciate this, but we spent years arguing over whether or not to tear the old buildings down. That I think everyone understood they were nasty, they were a major liability, there were always problems out there. We had major problems with juveniles getting in trouble out there all the time. I've been to court over that on multiple occasions. But it took years just to get over that. I mean, probably 5 years, 6 years maybe,
Probably 5, 6 years.
doing nothing but arguing at every meeting. And I've still got a stack of drawings that tall in my office of every different kind of option that we were able to dream up during those years of arguing. So it was a huge relief when the chairman made that motion, let's go ahead and just tear these things down and be done with this, and try to start with a clean canvas. Now, I'm going to tell you some of the challenges that we face. It isn't just the challenge of money. And I've been with Commissioner Fleming. We went into other counties and we've looked at some buildings. In fact, I told him then what I thought it might cost at the time, and I think it scared him. But I'm just going to tell you, we looked at something akin to a large community center, and it was expensive. But having said that, there are some other technical issues that will be associated with what we ultimately do there in the way of a master plan. And again, we've had multiple versions of master plans that were proposed, some that built pavilions over there, and more playground equipment and other things. But when we build a community center, we are going to have to consider the stormwater retention. Now, if you put a big community center in that one open area that we have today where the buildings used to be that we tore down, and you put a parking lot in there, and you put stormwater retention in there, there's nothing else left unless you start taking out those fields where the kids play. And that's just a fact. That's what's going to be required in order to construct a new building over there. And that's one thing that you left out, I think, when you mentioned what we have done. We built a large addition onto the gymnasium, and we built restrooms there that weren't there. And we built that covered pavilion area on the back as well. And we've already spent the money to do that. And then we painted the outside of that building, and we redid the gables, and we've done roof work over there. We've done a lot of work on the inside of that gymnasium. We went in there after the buildings were demolished, and we dug down 4 foot deep over that entire area to try to find all of the pipe and all of the glass and all of the everything and pull that out. That took, I mean, many, many months to do. So now it's closer than it's ever been, but it does take money. We've budgeted for a number of years, but it's going to take a lot more money than what we've got right now.
Well,
Before we actually get
I-
anything done.
I appreciate Ms. Williams' concerns, and I appreciate this board trying to move forward, because when I visited it, and trust me, Ms. Williams, I think I said this during the meeting, Commissioner Hale also, but I mean, we attended school there, and it was something that was close to our heart. I mean, we had memories there. I walked down those hallways and looked at the trash and debris and the way people had treated the place, and I mean, I was heartbroken to look at it like that. I mean, it's just not, it wasn't representative of who we are as a county and as a people.
Just go back to answer. Fleming knows I have his back. I think I'm probably one of the few African Americans that got up and said, okay, enough is enough. You know, he walked me through that place, and any sane person could see that it was just not even the layout, it was just not viable. Years ago, if they had chosen the auditorium or some place like that and said, let's tear these breezeways down, make the auditorium something, and save some part of it. But some people have personal connection to things, and they cannot let it go. And, you know, I think you have to, and I'm from Douglas, and I'm from the African American community, coming through the meetings and then going to see the center with Mr. Fleming and walking through those classes and that horrible cafeteria place. I don't even know why people were arguing to keep that, and that's why I got up and said, you know, we have to have a road that has to go, and you gotta tear it down. You know, so I'm not saying you all did everything. There was a lot of problems with, kicking the can down the road. That was the bigger problem, and it got worse. So clearly, I'm not, looking over what happened when I started coming to meetings, that you guys, I think, to keep the peace, kept kicking the can down the road and didn't want to tear the place down. And for me, you know, I wish they had thought, it's still the hallowed ground that we walked on. I wish they had thought about it that way, that you can keep the name and put something different here, but some people just, I mean, they just would not let go of how there was no way you could
You're here today to make a donation. Is that what you come for?
I'm actually giving us some land.
There's our start right here.
Which piece do you own? Okay, I know, right behind the EOC,
Yeah.
Right where the buses used to come in and out, I guess.
right,
There on the.
right, okay, I got you.
Thank you for your comments this evening. Anyone else from public wishing to speak? Seeing none, I will close public comment. At this time, we'll go to closing comments. Mr. Pravat, you have anything for us?
Nothing further, thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Harris?
Well, I was going to say, Commissioners, check your calendars, because I'm going to be asking you to consider a workshop next Tuesday. So on Tuesday, I'll need for y'all to decide on a date sometime over the next week or two, whenever we can get to it, when everybody's calendars are open, so that we can have a workshop to discuss the CARES funding and this money that's supposed to be coming.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner White?
Well, while we're all here, before we start on that calendar, is there any days that are better for you guys than not while we're sitting here? Mondays and Tuesdays ain't good for me. That's why I'm asking.
Talking about the workshop.
Yeah, so we can just kind of start thinking about it.
I can say this, I know Friday the 16th, I will be out of town, and I will tell y'all the week of the 26th through the 30th, I will be out of town.
Man, I want to be Don Hale.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was out
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago too, all weekend fishing or something, but anyway,
You're
must be
worried
nice
about
to be a
what
Hale.
day, and you worried about what week?
I do know, Mr. Harris, I do know that I talked to Barry Baker yesterday, and he told me he would be on vacation the 19th through the 23rd of April. We're talking about CARES money, we're probably gonna want the clerk here, I would think.
I'm going to be honest with you, he really doesn't need to be here. Because at the end of the day, Mr. Powell, the auditor, is the one that'll be weighing in on it.
Okay.
Now, he can obtain the information. I would say this, only, not because I have a problem with him being here. If he's here, that's great. But it might be difficult enough trying to get 5 people's schedules
Yeah.
without including more, because it'll be recorded information and it'll be available.
I was just throwing that out there.
Yeah, what I would say is, whatever Friday that was, narrow it down to Wednesday and Thursday. And which one of you has difficulty with a Wednesday or a Thursday?
And well, I will
What
say on
time?
that Friday, and not just cutting anybody short, but I would be available that morning. I just need to be getting ready, heading out.
What day's that?
That's on a Friday, the 16th.
The only thing I would throw out there, and I know Mr. White, Commissioner White just said he's Monday and Tuesday's terrible, but.
I mean, it's
we have
not
to
that I
come here-
can't do it then, it's just that's a busy day for me.
The only thing I was gonna say is if we come here every Tuesday anyway at 5 o'clock, what if we come at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday and just,
Well, I think that'll work. I don't know if 3 o'clock's gonna get it all done.
Well, I was gonna say, if it's one of our, not our regular scheduled meetings, but one of these meetings, the code meet, maybe either before or just after, because typically they go pretty quick.
Let me ask you this question.
That works for me.
just,
Yeah.
I think we're going to need at least a couple of hours. We have a lot of information to cover on the Treasury Department guidance, what can and can't be done, dispelling a bunch of stuff that's been out there on what people believe can be done with that money.
we could just do it on an off week though, on a Tuesday at 3 o'clock and change this meeting till 6 o'clock.
I'd be good with that.
Then we got
Okay.
3 hours.
Yeah,
That'd be 3 o'clock.
And then, everybody's here already is what.
That's what I'm saying. That's a good idea. I like it.
Even though it kind of is gonna speed you up on Tuesday, but
That's okay.
beats coming on Tuesday and back on Friday or Thursday.
I'm good with that.
off Tuesday at 3.
Uh,
And
So the only
and
off
then the-
Tuesday is
13th.
13th. So we just figured it out, so there you go.
So we're gonna do April 3rd. I know we're gonna talk about it next week, but
And then we'll do the
I just wanted to
LLC.
throw that out there sooner than later. Also, had a chance to be with the firefighters Friday and Saturday night while they were over in Lake City, and had a real good time and enjoyed socializing with all those guys, and got to learn about some fire training, although I didn't make it to their actual training, but we had a good time, and I was just going to let you know I went and spent some time with them.
Awesome. Good deal. Commissioner Lamb?
Yes, sir. I'm glad that the workshop thing came up. I don't know Miss Williams, never talked to her, but that was one of the things I was going to ask tonight, and Harris beat me to it, was have a workshop. But a question that I had would be, and I don't know the formality of it and how that works, but if we do a workshop, can we discuss a couple different topics, or would it be strictly CARES? Like,
What do we advertise?
Yeah, it's
Gonna
kind of
be
what you
covered?
advertise
all right,
on the workshop.
okay.
You actually have two issues, though. You've got one, the CARES,
And the
American
and then
Recovery.
the recovery.
recovery.
So I'm believing it's going to take some time to cover those, but if you had something else that you wanted to,
Okay, I'll get with you. And the other thing I was gonna tell you is Greg's not here, but I call it Super Saturday. Sports, T-ball, rookie ball kicked off on Saturday. I have a 7-year-old that plays, and, that sportsplex was looking really nice with a lot of people. I've never been out there and not been able to hardly find a parking spot, and it was packed, and it was in good shape. But we got a nice facility there. It's going to be even nicer with the addition of the splash pad, and we got some additional space behind us that the board purchased a year or two ago, and we got room to grow. And I mean, it's happening. That's a happening little spot on a Saturday. But it looked really nice, and we got a good product. Greg and his folks done a fine job out there on the way the condition of that facility looked. I was proud of it, but that's all I really had.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Fleming?
I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but Ms. Williams, I thank you for coming tonight. And I know she got some understanding, because we did, about 3 years ago, we walked through that facility out there, and it was just nasty. And she got the opportunity to see it, and she had enough of it. But sometimes people don't understand. They, like you said, you want to hold on to things. Some things that just ain't no good. But I'm proud of you, Commissioner, tonight. You didn't commit, but you said that you was on board with what we're planning. And
You heard him, didn't you?
Yeah, I heard it.
He's got a good memory, too.
I heard it, so I'm excited, that we all on board with it. And as Commissioner Land said, I mean, I was talking to the senator up there week before last, about some funding. And he talking about the roads, we talking about funding. But if we come together and work together, and stay together, we can get a whole lot of things accomplished. And I appreciate you guys. Y'all are a great group of guys, and I say just keep doing what we're doing,
Yes, sir.
working together. Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Commissioner Hale?
I'll just say, you mentioned sports there, Commissioner Land, and I was honored and privileged enough to have sponsored a dodgeball team last Thursday. I don't know if any of you guys.
I was there too.
Okay. That, I tell you, that was really something. I was proud to be part of that. I was proud of my team, proud of those kids, and they had a great time. And I just want to thank all the adults that were out there helping with that. I know that's a lot to put together, but everyone had a great time. So just want to mention that.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I just don't really have anything else to add. I think we talked about it quite a bit. I'm grateful for everybody kind of being on board with what we're trying to do, and obviously we got some important meetings coming up. Got a big meeting coming Tuesday, and then we'll follow up with these other meetings and workshops and move forward this year. This time, all I need is a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Got a motion by Commissioner Land.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fleming. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.